Good afternoon, everyone. This is Christian Karasevich. My Twitter handle is at CKROKS. You are on the Social Chatter episode. This is I run a business, and it's called Social Chefs. And our goal is to teach you social media marketing and to make it really easy for you to either A, keep up with the news that's going on, B, what tools you should be using, and C, also learn more about different tools, different tips and tactics that you can be implementing in your business. And I'm joined by my buddy, my co-host, Mr. Vincent Orlek.
Whoop whoop.
So Vincent, where can everybody where can they find you at on Twitter?
My name right here at Vincent Orlek and hashtag not a guru.
Very cool. And so I'm going to put a couple links in here in the comments for everybody off to the right. For those of you, if this is your first time joining, as Vincent and I like to, we like to talk about the latest in social media news. And we basically try to keep this to about 30 minutes. Sometimes we do run a little bit over, but we share three to five things that are going on in social media for the week and 3 to 5 tools as well. Typically, we like to keep them to 3 tips and 3 tools because we find that it can be a lot to get through in that short amount of time. So with that, I'm going to we got a lot of really great things this week, but I'm going to go ahead and kick off the show with topic number 1 for today, and that is going to be regarding Twitter. By the way, I put all these links here and by the way, if you want to jump in at any point, you can jump in. If you have questions, you can put /Q and that will show up for us to answer. So basically, topic number 1, we're talking about Twitter. So Twitter has, they've been making a lot of adjustments lately. This particular topic is talking about how they are making adjustments for showing more tweets to people. So this is the thing with Twitter. Let's put it in context of Facebook, actually. So if I were to log into Facebook and, I'm logged in, I can see pretty much all the stuff that's going on, with my friends and whatnot. I can see all this awesome content. With Twitter, though, it's a little different. Like I can see, I go to Twitter, I'm not logged in, and basically I just see their homepage, kind of like, And so what they're doing now is they're going to try to bring in more stories and conversations that are, happening so that people can see them and kind of learn about them. And if they do want to participate in them, that's where they can log in and participate. So Vincent, I think, was it you who shared this one, sent this story to me actually?
This one in particular, no, it was this.
Or actually, no, I remember what it was. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm actually really excited about this. I like the idea of this. The fact that Twitter is starting to make some moves because Twitter is one of those things that a lot of people are, they're questioning the value of it. They're questioning, hey, is it worth me putting my time into using Twitter? And I think over the past, since Jack Dorsey took over, they've started to really kind of turn the ship around. They're not completely turned around, but they are at least making moves and instead, not just stagnating, and leaving all, and just kind of letting people kind of, get tired of the platform. So I do like the fact that they are making this effort to, to basically allow people to see more tweets, more conversations, more stories and whatnot that are, happening so that when they do want to join Twitter, they can log in, or sign up and participate. So that's topic number 1 for today. Not terribly exciting, but it is really good social media news. It shows a lot of progress from Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, it goes to their approach to Twitter lately, where they're they're just changing a bunch of things, and there's all this speculation about are they doing these changes because they're getting ready to sell? Are they getting rid of the entire C-level essentially, and all these people that have been there for a lot of years because they're getting ready to sell, or are they cutting the fat for that purpose, or is it to really dive in and pivot in a sense and change the whole kind of approach? I mean, they're definitely with some of these changes, it's definitely something where they're making it more open to more people. Mm-hmm. With this, it's you don't have to have an account.
Right.
You don't have to have an account it makes it easier if you don't have an account to see what's going on and to really follow along on Twitter. So personally, I like what they've been doing lately. I like all the different changes. I like the Periscope feed being in feed. I like moments. I like the stuff that they've done. I've grown to really love Twitter over the last few years. I wasn't in the beginning, but now I use it all the time. And for this, it's just another thing in that line of, hey, we want to grow the users because that's what they're always getting slammed on it with the shares and the share pricing. The revenue growth is how they're going to grow revenue.
If you want to grow your users, I mean, you have to make the platform, I think, a lot more accessible.
Yeah, you have to have access. I mean, how are you going to? Why would they give them a reason to sign up? Give them a reason to sign up.
And I like this it's a small tweak, but I think it's a good change that they're doing. I think
this one goes hand in hand too at the same time with the expansion now. So like the subtweeting. Yeah. Let's may as well. The subtweeting is going to be a little different now, whereas before it was a little harder to find. Now it's just going to open up its own separate window that will keep your place still in your feed, and that will make it a lot easier for people to stay on conversations that they've been on and not afraid to leave the feed and that sort of a thing. So another little change that's part of the bigger picture, I think.
Absolutely. And by the way, I put a link in there to an example of a tweet, and it is very interesting. I was reading an article on this, and there were a lot of people, if you kind of read through this, that think this is, hey, they don't like this idea. But I also think, though, that it really helps because how many times you've been pulling metrics, for instance, on Twitter, where you're trying to look through a conversation to kind of, follow what's going on. And there have been tweets all over the place. Like you see half the conversation and then part of your stream has then been interrupted by, a couple little, random tweets that happen to get in there in between. So, I'm glad that they're going to have all of this all in one place. And I haven't actually tested this on the mobile device, but on the desktop, pretty slick.
I was just looking at it on mobile, actually. It's works well. Works pretty well. It looks good. It's easy. Just hop on and you're in a feed. Now you're in kind of it's like a most popular type of thing. So the top tweet when I go on mobile, twitter.com on mobile, the top tweet is from One Direction.
Right.
So, but it's got almost 42,000 hearts and 31,000 retweets. So, and down the line, Shawn Mendes, some others. So it's taken a lot of the most popular things that are a lot of those popular tweets that are available at that moment. It looks like.
Right. Yeah. Another thing I think that could also be really useful for is if I am a business or I'm an individual, I'm participating in a tweet chat. I think that could also be very useful as well. If it's able to group everything together properly, because for those of you who participate in tweet chats, your Twitter stream can basically just become a flood of a whole bunch of random tweets to things that a lot of people, they don't make sense. If I happen to just stumble across your Twitter stream and I'm looking and I'm like, well, what is that, or what does that go to? So I'm excited to have it. To have this feature, and I'm actually looking over here at our messages we got somebody said, I just want to edit a tweet. And you know what? I absolutely agree with you that there needs to be a way to edit a tweet. I'm not, that's a tricky thing though, because Facebook did it, and the way Facebook made editing a post, for instance, or comment, they gave you the ability to edit it, but they also showed what the original item was. And again, when you're talking conversations, if somebody can post something, they get a ton of retweets and then go back and edit it to say something that's completely different. That I think is probably the hardest part that they're going to have to figure out. Do they?
Well, don't you think that the editing the Facebook posts? To me, that seemed to smack more of brand usage than anything, because for a brand to be able to go back in and change a post that they had a misspelling on, right? I mean, that's I've done that. I'm not gonna lie. Like I've been putting something in quickly and misspelled a word and had to go back in and redo it, and then it shows up correctly as after that.
Right.
So with Twitter, it's like if it's your tweet, you can delete it and then retweet it, and with the correction, that's the edit function. But you lose all the analytics, of course. I don't know if they'll. That would be definitely one that would just, for the pure purpose of appealing to the users.
Right.
Just because users want it, have called for it for so long. I don't know. It takes away the real time-ness of it, if that's a word. But yeah, it takes away that real time part of it.
And there's a lot that you kind of have to figure out with it, because it's not just, okay, let's just add an edit function. How does it affect the Twitter analytics that are being recorded? You don't actually, we don't know what their process is. So maybe there's a reason why it's not there. But I think that should be next. Well, I don't think that should be next on their list. I think that should be on their list. Next on their list should be to obviously get their user base up and to get more people using Twitter and understanding it. I mean, it can be a very powerful medium.
See, I like the more the education side of it. I think they should focus on the education of the users as to best ways to use it, especially new users. So while they're trying to attract all these new users, what are they doing to educate that new user on how to use it, aside from when you're setting up an account? It's got a little, light box thing where it shows you here, here's where you tweet, here's where, that's the basic stuff. What else can they do to educate the new user as they start on the platform? What do they do? Do they provide some sort of tool for that?
And that, by the way, that is an excellent point, because, if you think, again, I'm going to stick to Facebook here, but you can do pretty much any social network, Facebook, Instagram, etc. But if I log into my Facebook account and there's a new feature, it's nice that there's, a bubble or whatever that pops up that, says, hey, we've built this new feature, take a tour. So I definitely agree. I think that Twitter needs some sort of education model for people that, first, once they first create an account. I would even say, you could do something that is tied. Here's the other thing. How many people actually go to Twitter? You have a lot of people using third-party tools for Twitter, but I think it would be neat to have something where after a certain amount of time, so if I'm new to Twitter, maybe I can log in and I see a certain type of education, but then let's say I turn around and log in, but I haven't been logged in. I've been on Twitter for a while, but I haven't logged in for like 6 months. It'd be great if there was maybe an education piece as well that would say, hey, it's been a while. Here are some things that you may have missed, to kind of catch me up, to bring me up to speed on some of the, enhancements and whatnot.
Brad, I was having the same problem last night with GIFs, by the way. Just the GIFs it just shows up with the link. It doesn't show up with the GIF. So I don't know. I don't know if Blab shut that off or what, but that was disappointing for me. I love putting the GIFs in Blabs. That was like one of my favorite parts. Yeah. So hopefully that comes back. You had a good, yeah. Well, Snapchat it to me, dude. Send it to Facebook it to us or something, or tweet it to us.
See,
Twitter. Talk about GIFs with Twitter. Did you see that? Did you see, just because we're on Twitter still, they're
what was it again? They were testing, I think it was animated GIFs and like a dedicated button.
Yeah, with a GIF button, just like how Peach has had since it started. They're probably going to implement a GIF button right on Twitter, in Twitter natively. So yeah. I don't know if that would be tied to Giphy, or if it would be like how it shows up on Facebook Messenger when you hit GIF and it's something from there. But man, for all the people that are sick of GIFs on Twitter, you ain't seen nothing yet, because I know in my case, I'm gonna be using those things left and right because I already do. And that's with extra steps involved. But GIFs are about to make a huge comeback, I think. It feels like not that they need a comeback, but it feels like they're about to blow up. And it's funny, if that's the only thing that the Peach app brings back to the social media world, then it's going to be good for some, not so good for others.
By the way, and I completely agree with you. It's almost like the 90s all over again. Remember when you had animated just for like AOL and whatnot? You could put like
oh my god
icon. Yeah. So by the way, I just want to ask our viewers, is anybody having issues with sound? With somebody mentioning they had an issue with sound. I just want to make sure everything's good.
Oh, on the Blab right now with hearing it?
I'm not sure. Yeah, they just said Tagawa Garden says trouble with sound.
Hey Adam, what's going on, buddy? Thanks everyone for joining in, our 20 viewers and all 74 that have been in here, 75 now.
Yes, and I gotta say, also, I mean, it's really glad to have a lot of have everybody on here.
Yeah.
So
what do we got next?
What do we got next? Okay, so we've talked a lot about Twitter. Let's jump into some Facebook news. So Facebook,
is this Friends Day.
Yeah, let's see. Topic number, what is it? Topic 3, I guess. Facebook Friends Day. Probably have seen these throughout your Facebook news feed. People have been sharing a bunch of videos. Basically, it's because Facebook had Facebook Friends Day on February 4th. That was what, like Wednesday? What's it? No, that was yesterday.
Yeah, it was the in honor of their 12th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
They decided to honor Friends Day.
And it's it's pretty.
So we won't spend too much time on this, I don't think.
No, yeah, because this isn't really like business related or anything like that. It's really just to give you an idea of some of the cool stuff that Facebook is doing. I think the fascinating part about Friends Day is that one kind of just took over everywhere, and then two, how many of you are familiar with like the whole Kevin Bacon effect? So basically, Facebook apparently proved that we only have, instead of like 6 connections, there's like 3. I think it's 3.75. So that's basically our gauge of how many our connections with friends. So pretty fascinating. Aside from that, I don't have anything else interesting to say about that. Just that it's a neat feature of Facebook. It's always
Here's what I noticed with it. So I post a ton of pictures of my 2-year-old on Facebook.
Yeah.
Hashtag ValCal. Here, this is it, right? If you ever want to see. Hashtag ValCal. There she is. She's in like a ton of my stuff for the last 2 years. And she was in like none of the pictures. Now, I'm guessing it's because I didn't tag her. Because she doesn't have a profile. It was pulling friends, people that you tagged, I think, as friends on different pictures and things like that. So as I was watching, I was like, well, wait a second, why is she's in every picture, but she's not in the pictures that are on this video, but it's because she didn't get tagged. Now, there was the thing that just popped up recently where you could tag someone that wasn't on Facebook, and you could create a tag for them, which I did for her. So it didn't pull anything from that as just like a point of note. It just pulled from the people that you tagged that are actually existing on Facebook as your friends. Not that matters, but.
Yep, absolutely. No, absolutely. So did we get all the questions resolved? I think, let's see what we got here. Connecting on your phone. All you need is the Blab app. And once you have that, you basically can just, so for those of you who want to connect from mobile, download the Blab app. And then,
it's on iOS though. It's only on iOS.
Yeah, so only on iOS. But once you have the Blab app, which I'll put a link in there for you to go download it. But once you have that, all you have to do is either log into your Twitter account. That will get you connected so that you can actually participate in conversations. And otherwise, if you don't log into Twitter and you just want to watch, you can do that as well. But you do have to log in.
And on Android, you can go to a mobile browser, right? The Chrome browser, mobile on Android, and open it up there on blab.im. I think that still works.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
So let's see.
What's after Friends Day? What's next?
Twitter. Okay, so this is actually probably some of the biggest news I think for the week, and that is Facebook has made more algorithm changes. And here's the thing: like when you log in, and this is actually really good if you actually read this. Facebook talks a lot about how when you log into your Facebook account and you don't see updates that you really want to see, like you just see random stuff. It actually is can actually have a negative effect on you staying on Facebook and and browsing Facebook more often. So with that, I'm gonna actually pull the line out of this because it was actually really.
Oh man, are you really? Let's see if it's the same thing I was gonna just post in there too. Go ahead, because the one thing that hit me in there, I bet it's the same exact thing.
Let me actually, I just pulled up the article, so give me 1 second.
So pretty much they're going to address the fact that the call to action in a way, right? I mean, they're gonna maybe not entirely penalize you, but when you're doing the CTA, and if you get that spike, okay, I have a different one, which is
and actually better. You brought up a really good point. So we're talking pages and profiles. So let's talk profiles real quick because pages are the most important. So profiles, Facebook's been doing some studies. You may have actually been asked to participate in that study, and what they're saying, hey, we saw it through our research. People reported having a better newsfeed experience when the stories they see at the top are stories they both they're likely to rate high if asked and likely to engage with. So basically it's saying, hey, if I log into Facebook and I see stuff that I like, it puts me in a better mood. If I see stuff that, really is not relevant to me, not too thrilled about that. Now, in the context though, so this article further went on to talk about Facebook pages and how this will actually impact Facebook pages, which is probably the bigger story here. And Vincent, do you want to kind of go through this?
Yeah, I mean, with pages, this is big because it's it's like I said, it's I don't know that's going to penalize a page. It's kind of yet to be determined. But just if you look at that quote from the article there, and this is from Facebook, if you're encouraging people to click, then that's going to likely only cause temporary spikes in metrics that might then be rebalanced by feeds ranking over time. So to me, what that's saying, I could be wrong, but to me, what that's saying is if you're trying to get a call to action for someone to like, comment, or share, if you're telling people to do that and it happens in a big way, then the algorithm is going to read that and then do some things in the background to balance that out with your other feeds, with your other posts after that. Whereas in the past, what felt like happened was if you got those likes, comments, and shares, and especially comments and shares have more weight. If you got those in a big way on a post, it was more likely than not that the post after that or the future posts kind of immediately after that would get a higher engagement. And so now it seems like Facebook is realizing that, recognizing that, and doing something about it. So they're doing everything they can to make business pages, number one, do some sort of pay for play, and number two, put good content out.
Absolutely. And I completely agree with you as far as putting good content out, because most of the Facebook pages that I follow, a lot of them, I mean, they don't really have a strategy in place when they get ready to post content. A lot of people just say, hey, I got a blog post. Let me throw that out there on my Facebook page. And then, they don't get the results they want. And then they complain that Facebook doesn't work. So it's, you really want to make sure, whatever you're posting, that you have, a purpose behind what you're posting and, and a strategy.
Well, and also the links. I mean, look, there's no question in my mind that if you have a blog post at this point today, February 5th, 2016, on Facebook, if you have a blog post that you're going to link out to or that you can post on Facebook, whether it's in its own post or on Facebook Notes, you're better off doing one of those other two options, because I don't know how the Notes thing is being read yet with the algorithm. You're better off doing one of those two options than just linking out to your website. Because especially with the main post now, if you just put it on a post, that's still an effect where if people are staying and reading a post, that's a factor in the engagement. And that's a factor in what the algorithm is reading that you're interested in, and will show you more from that page potentially. So they're playing with it. I mean, they're trying everything they can to really force the best content into people's feeds, I think. I mean, that's definitely what they're trying to do. But the other side of it is the whole pay to play for businesses as well, I'm sure.
Absolutely. And here's the thing. I mean, if you are a business, you should have at least some budgeting or some budget set aside for, for Facebook ads, or if you're on another social network, for, ads on there as well, because, you do have to have something like that. If you do want to get any traction, I mean, you can't expect everything that you put out to work organically. There are going to be times where, you are going to want to put a little bit of money behind something. By the way, for those of you interested in Facebook Notes, I dropped a couple of links in here. One of those was about how to use Facebook Notes for Facebook pages if you don't have it set up, how to set it up. And then I'm also going to put in something here which has basically I put together an article on 10 different ways you can use Notes for business. So if you do decide you want to use Notes, here are a bunch of ideas for you.
I really like Notes, man. I mean, I like Medium anyway, so it's kind of a natural that you're going to like Notes. But I do hope that it's something that they're focused on and focused on growing, because I think that could be a valuable spot to put content right in the middle of Facebook that, again, for them anyway, for Facebook, they don't want you to leave. So makes sense.
I mean, absolutely. And, and I think the key thing is also with Facebook, you can read all you want about, and we can speculate all we want about what, this article about qualitative feedback really means, but it really comes down to, what it really comes down to is just put out quality content. Your audience, put out quality content, do some networking. That way you're going to be able to, you're going to be able to, help get your message out there.
The thing, I mean, we know that, right? And a lot of people that are in here know that. And I think a lot of people in general know or are aware of that, but it's definitely easier said than done.
Right.
It's definitely easier said than done. Even when you think it's quality content, it may not be. So there's so much out there that a small percentage of it is actually quality.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So let's see, what else do we have here today? And I know we've kind of gone over the 3 topics. No big deal on that. Let's see. WhatsApp. Let's talk about WhatsApp for a second here. And then we'll get one last topic in and go over some tools. So is this topic 5 or 6 today? I'm not sure. But
yeah.
How many of you are WhatsApp users? If you're on WhatsApp, please give us some props, or, put something in the comments here. So I am a WhatsApp user. I've been on there, use it for a good bit. Love using it when I go travel someplace, because it allows me to communicate, with people that, say we don't have a data plan, and all we have is Wi-Fi and whatnot. Communicate with people. Awesome for that. Basically, what has happened is WhatsApp now has 1 billion users, which is pretty crazy. But it's not a number that I really I'm not it's impressive, but I kind of expect them to get there, because when you look at what the tool does, it's a great tool for connecting people. I mean, there's a lot of people that use it, like I said, when they go travel places and they don't, they aren't paying, roaming charges on a cell phone, or, and whatnot. So I'm excited about the fact that it is, that they've crossed that many users. I really can't wait for Facebook, because Facebook owns WhatsApp. I can't wait for them to integrate all of these tools together, to integrate Instagram and WhatsApp and Facebook into one platform, or at least make the tools available, because that way you'll be able to, commingle, your different networks and whatnot, and you won't have to, be on one device for one thing and one place for another. So,
yeah, I just, having not been ever really a user of it, or, I mean, I think I signed up for an account a very long time ago and then just never went back to it. Because Facebook Messenger is enormous.
Yeah.
They just announced some ridiculous number of people that are using Facebook Messenger too. And I mean, I use Facebook Messenger all the time. That absolutely. So for WhatsApp, I mean, the fact that Facebook owns WhatsApp also is interesting.
Right.
You know, originally it always felt like when they bought them, it felt like it was because that was a big competitor for Messenger,
Yeah.
potentially, and that was why they bought them, was because they didn't want that competitor. I mean, that was where the whole Snapchat approach was too. When they made the offer for Snapchat, they saw that as such a huge messaging competitor. But with WhatsApp, I mean, what is the? Let me ask you, Christian, and anyone else that's in here, like, tell me why am I going to use WhatsApp over Messenger or alongside of Messenger?
So I think the key thing is WhatsApp is there because it's going to tie, a lot of people, they don't want to connect their Facebook account, for instance, to their contacts, but yet you'll do it with WhatsApp. So, people will go in, they'll connect people there, and, it basically just, it's just, it's a messaging platform, and
Right.
I think part of it is, I think the approach to which Facebook took, with kind of rolling, like WhatsApp was out, and people were already, had jumped on using it. I honestly would love to see a survey of how many people are actually aware that Facebook even owns it. And, and I think the approach they took wasn't just like, oh, we're splitting this into another app and forcing you to use another app. So I think that's part of the draw. Personally, I still use kind of both because, I use Facebook for certain things. And, I find that those conversations are a little easier to keep up with because, a certain audience that I do communicate with, they're specifically on Facebook Messenger. And, I more so use WhatsApp for, communicating with family and friends, and if I'm in a group setting or whatnot, and we want to communicate with one another, we tend to use that because it's, it's a little easier for people to get on and use. So, that's my logic, but, if anybody else has anything they want to add, feel free to jump in or, leave a comment over here in the sidebar. I'd love to hear, what your thoughts are because, it's, again, every platform is a little bit unique. You kind of have to look at it and see, where your network is at and go to that place. But who else do we have here? Next Gen Bizman. Brad, you haven't, what are your thoughts on, using, WhatsApp versus, Facebook Messenger? Do you think that, there needs to be, you think you need both? What are your thoughts?
I know Brad gave it up after he started charging $1 for it per year.
And actually, then they removed that recently. So,
oh, that was free? What? They got Brad.
Yep.
They got rid of it. There you go. There's your excuse. Gone. No reason. Yeah, that's at some point, Tim. Yeah, at some point you get app fatigue.
Yeah, it was a couple of weeks ago actually, but yeah, app fatigue. Yeah, absolutely. Here's the other thing. Like, there's so many apps out there nowadays that it's hard to, like, you go on one because it has one feature, and you go on another because it has another feature.
Especially lately with when Peach, everyone's kind of on the anti live stream case because there's so many live stream apps trying to come out and take advantage of that hot topic, hot industry. And I get that. I don't use them all. We love Blab. I like Blab. Snapchat's not live streaming. But I don't jump on, like, I checked out some of the others like MeV and Beam but they're not anything I'm going to spend any time on. And Peach is that other one, right? And then another one came out called Plum. Peach had some nice elements, and I think it had a direct influence on Twitter realizing they could put a GIF button right in the middle, like we talked about. And if nothing else comes from Peach except that, then hey, Peach was almost kind of worth it, right? No skin off my back. But yeah, get used to it because there's only a million more apps coming out and a million more social media networking apps coming out and live streaming apps. People are gonna hop on the hottest trends. It's just deal with it, enjoy it. It's like, it's nothing to really, why let it annoy you? Like, why? I see people like complaining about, oh my, it's so annoying, enough already. Like, is it real? Like, it's the same people that complain about baseball players, their favorite team signing their baseball player for $150 million. Like, really, does it really? Unless you're going to games and paying a little bit higher ticket prices, I could see that. But if you're not affected, who cares? Like, what's the big deal?
And I have to say, as far as the social networks and all the different ones that are coming out, here's what I kind of see happening. So, you've got your pillars set up. You've got Facebook, you got Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube. You got all these main ones, right? And you have all these other little small ones coming out. You have Periscope that came out, right? So what has happened with Periscope? That has now been integrated into Twitter. Awesome. Facebook now has Facebook Live video. So like anyone else who's coming out with other networks or other tools, basically per se, they're useful to a certain degree, but eventually they are going to get folded into, you'll eventually see those features, I think, come to those other networks because they know that they're the leader of the pack and everyone else is going to have to keep up. So
I also think Snapchat is a factor because Snapchat is really the new kid on the block that has had the success. It's not even Instagram anymore. It's right. Snapchat. Snapchat's the one that came out after Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, all the other ones came out and blew up, right? And kind of that bubble, not popped, but it expanded. And then everyone's like, well, there's no more networks to come out. Like, we're already on enough and all these different social media channels. And then Snapchat happened. And in a relatively short amount of time, a couple of years, it's exploded. I mean, it's humongous. And it's not even really where it's going to be within another year or 2 years or 5 years. So I think that one has the most direct influence on all these apps that are coming out now that think they can maybe get a piece of the pie because Snapchat succeeded.
And great point, Brad. Tipping point of mass adoption. Absolutely. And Claire, I'd love to hear, you're talking about like, you think it's because of social media overload. Can you kind of elaborate on that a little bit? Is it?
You know what, too, though? It's the one thing we all have to keep in mind is a lot of people that are here in the room do have a tie to social media, right? Like you're heavily involved in social media in some way. I think a lot of people that are on Blab or that I know I come in contact with, we're all heavily involved. And with social media, when you're heavily involved in it, you're in that vacuum. So it does feel like, oh, here's another app. Oh, here's another app. Here's another app. But the general public, they're like, people haven't heard of. No, they don't know. They don't know Peach. They don't even know Peach yet. They don't know Blab yet. Some of them don't know Periscope. A lot of them don't know Periscope.
Right.
So we always have to remember that vacuum that we are in because we're in the industry. It's all relative. I don't know. There's people that work for General Electric or work in that industry that know every little thing about that space that's everything that's coming out, and I know zero about, and they're sick of stuff already, and I've never heard of it.
Yep. Absolutely.
Hey guys.
How you doing, Claire?
Yeah, what's up? Just to kind of expand what I'm saying about social media overload, Vincent kind of alluded a little bit on it there. The way I kind of measure is I look at some of my non-marketing, non-social media friends who are involved in social, and they like any of us, we have stuff to do. We just put social at a higher priority a little bit more because that's what we do. But at the same time, it's part of the jobs because we have to try to keep up with what's going on. But it's you can only do so much. And when I started telling people about Blab, they started rolling the eyes like, okay, you're talking about another streaming video platform. I'm looking at Periscope every night instead of watching TV, which they're enjoying doing. And some of these people are on Facebook and Twitter, and then that's really about it, And then every now and then they'll go look at Periscope, if there's something interesting on there. And even just go a step further, there's some people out there who just do Facebook and only Facebook, and that's all. They're like, no, I have either no interest or there's just too many different platforms out there, So it's just, not everybody could go and keep up. And as somebody who is involved in this industry, I can barely keep up myself. That's why I tune in to stuff like this, So, I mean, it's, again, it's just completely social media overload. People don't want to be all over the place, and I haven't touched on Instagram yet, so.
No, great point. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, your head can spin if you sit there and, if you're on Facebook and you're on Twitter, for instance, and those are your two networks, your head can spin trying to just keep up with all of that stuff. And if you're the average user, you mentioned Vincent, everybody, honestly, they're like, I'd say 6 months to a year behind in most cases, and that's because.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
But also another thing too is one thing that we try to do is we try to keep up on changes. Most of these people here, they don't care about 98% of the changes that occur. They care about some of the new features. Maybe, oh, cool, I can now do a video on something or whatever, kind of thing. But like Facebook algorithm changes, I mean, like, yeah, that's like something that's like priority on our list, but they can almost care less about it. I remember I had to explain to somebody one time. I was sitting there with two friends. One friend said, oh, such and such brand just posted this on Facebook. And the other person said, oh, I like them too. Let me go in there and look for it. And 2 minutes later, it's like, I can't find it. And of course, it turned into a 30-second lesson on how the logarithm works. And they almost lost interest 20 seconds in. So, it's just, we're looking at things that they're not looking at. They just want to go on there and just have fun. And of course, Facebook knows that, Twitter knows that, and that's what they're trying to adapt to do. That's what we talk about here all the time.
Wait, are you saying, Claire, that it's social media, not business media?
Well,
what?
I'm talking about,
that's crazy talk.
I get with what you're saying. Maybe it all depends on the terminologies that you're using, but
no, I agree with you. It's social media. It's social media. We always say that marketers ruin everything, and we all jump on all these channels and try to get ROI and monetize everything. I mean, that's absolutely true. But it's in the end, it's social media. Like, why did you start using Facebook? Because your friends were on it and you were having fun and talking with your friends, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So.
Go ahead.
So they just don't care about all these like little changes and little updates. As long as they could go and post their pictures and say hi to people, that's about all that they really care about. So.
Yep.
See, I think like while we talk about like algorithm changes, I think to the the average user, like they don't care about that stuff. But I think as well there are quite a number of businesses that they go on the platform and they expect it. They expect it to work exactly how they think it works, which is, hey, I post something and, oh, wow, I have 1,000 fans. Everyone is going to see it. Like they expect that. And I think they do need to still know about some of that information. They don't need to know all of the detail on it, but they need to at least have, an understanding of it. I think that, you get a lot of people that just go on and, they don't know about that. And they don't really think, well, hey, it might actually be a little bit different than how it is. And that kind of goes back to Vincent about education, about being able to at least, maybe you log in and maybe Facebook will show that message to people, but maybe they word it a different way instead of saying, oh, it's about, we updated the algorithm. Like that just sounds too technical, right? Too scientific. Maybe they just tell people, hey, you know what? We're changing how you're going to see things based on, feedback or whatever that we've gotten. Something that people can understand. So.
Yeah, well, Vince and I, we both talked about this before in person, just about how things go in the business world. I just think in a brief nutshell here, the social media managers, they need to be keeping up on what's going on and how it would possibly impact. And then the executives have to listen to the social media managers and say, hey, this is the way that things really work. You don't post one thing, you're a Fortune 500 company overnight. So.
Yep. Great point.
Yeah. Great. So, if everything like that falls in line, everybody will be fine. By the way, somebody asked about the scroll called CamTwist. It's free. It's available for both Mac and PC. Other than that, I'll head out. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining.
Thanks, Claire.
Appreciate it.
See you at the next Social Media Club Phoenix event this month.
By the way, I'm going to get a link to CamTwist for everybody that is watching that wants CamTwist.
Yeah, that was one of the questions that popped up. Yeah, there's that lower it allows you to do several things like cool little things for your screen here. So
yeah, and and I think I mentioned earlier, it can be a little bit buggy because it hasn't really been updated like I think the Mac version, for instance, doesn't work with the latest version of El Capitan, or I don't think it's built to support it, but it may still work. So, just be, you can test it and see how it works for you, but if it doesn't work exactly right, that's why. So let's see what we got here. Chuck has a question.
Well, Chuck asked that question about why people complaining. Well, because number one, they're right to complain in a sense, because it's gone down over the last few years. It was never as high as people always thought. The wake up aha moment was what, Christian, like 4 years ago, when Facebook said, like, officially came out and said your business page, your reach is only ever like 13-14%, something like that on a post, right? Whereas everybody always thought, like you said, everybody could see what they posted. And the people that are complaining about, go ahead.
I was gonna say they don't think about like just the sheer volume of that. If I send something out and I've got 1,000 fans, that's 1,000 fans times however many connections, for instance, Vincent has or Claire has or whatnot. So it really is a lot more than people think. So, and
also it's that always, what always comes up, we think 25-30% and higher is very reasonable. Sure. Hey, look, if you get that, Chuck, that's great. I know on the brand I manage, we get that on certain posts. Sometimes we get higher. More often than not, it's much lower. Organic, right? And this is on business pages, not profiles, because that's the other confusion that comes up is people that are not businesses that just have personal profiles are like, oh, only 2% of my friends can see my post. It's like, no, that's not what they're referring to when they're talking about the organic reach. Personal profiles are a whole different story.
And I think part of that is because people they call, I think everybody seems to call, they'll call them Facebook profiles. They call them personal pages. And it's like, they call them pages, and then they call them fan pages, and I think that's where some of that confusion stems from. It's a profile, It's a page. And, yes, when you do post something to your profile, you are more than likely going to get more, much higher engagement on it, because your friends are going to see it. You also have a smaller concentrated network that you are, interacting with more on a regular basis, versus, a Facebook page, which you're bringing in tons of people to it. Awesome. But those people aren't interacting with you typically on a regular basis. So,
and Chuck, 25 to 35% is really good, but the overwhelming majority of business pages do not get that. Not even close. Maybe a post here and there, or occasionally a post of some sort gets that, but on the regular, business pages do not get that, not in any way, shape, or form. So if you get that, more power to you. That's awesome. You're doing awesome content. That's what that means. If that's what you're getting organically, then that means that your audience loves what you're doing. They're engaged, and you're doing good stuff on the brand side. Yeah, exactly.
And here's the thing: if you are getting a lower number, it's pretty simple. You need to potentially adjust your content. Maybe, and again, these sound like kind of simple things to do, but upload a new cover photo, upload a new photo to your to your Facebook page. Like those types of things do tend to generate. People tend to see that better, so they engage with it more. And therefore, the more they engage with it, then the next time you post something, there's a higher chance that you're going to, reach some of those people.
Well, that's how it is up until this latest update.
Right, absolutely.
Right, according to what they're saying. So ties it all back to that, which is a good way to
basically saying
to close that out.
Create, very content that's always going to be, it's always good content. Try different things. Yesterday we tried just putting a really small teaser piece of information with a picture that said, for more information, check the email we just sent you. And then we're going to compare that open rate to what the normal open rates are, see if it works. So, and the Google Analytics and all that. So, it doesn't hurt to try different things. So one last thing here before I jump into some tools, Nate made a comment about Facebook's algorithm is going to push all of us in the direction of having to pay to draw attention. I definitely agree with that. I think though that, Google has the same issue. With Google, how are people getting traffic? Like they're either building really, really, really rock solid sites, with good cornerstone content, or they're paying, to get people, to get in front of people. So, it doesn't matter what you move to. You move to Google, you move to Facebook, you move to Twitter, you move to Instagram. You add more people to the mix. When you have 1 billion users or 2 billion users or whatever, you're going to eventually, you're not going to have space. So that's where, the pay to play model is going to come into play. So,
and in reality, just one other thing with what Nate said. They're trying to do that. I mean, there's no question. They're, as I put in the comments earlier, they're a public company. They need to drive revenue, and the majority of their revenue, all of their revenue, or almost all of it, comes from their advertising, from people advertising. So, I mean, certainly they're going to want to drive you to advertise and give you more of a reason to advertise. Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly, Nate. So that was the point I was going to make is you can spend $1, brings back 2, or pay all day long. Look, it's just like anything else. If what you invest comes back and you're making a profit on it, what does it matter what the investment is in a sense? Facebook is still based on you can really spend what's within your means as a person or a business. It's the best way to advertise. I'm not trying to shill for Facebook. I'm just stating a fact. It's the best way to advertise right now and reach an audience with advertising dollars. It's better than TV, better than radio, better than internet, digital, banner, whatever. There's no doubt. There's no doubt. If you're doing it the right way, it's the single best way to reach an audience.
And, and here's the thing, you could apply that to, Chuck, I think kind of alluded to this earlier, about business practices, but, you make an investment in your business. If I have to buy, for instance, a tool, let's say that tool costs me $500 a month, but I'm making, $1,000 or, $10,000 or whatever amount that is, that is potentially a very healthy investment to make, and you're going to want to continue with that. Same thing with ads. If you can, as Nate said, you put $1 and you get $2 back. Awesome. So, don't be afraid to invest, basically, is the bottom line.
Well, and more often, if you're doing it right, again, if you put $1 in, maybe you're getting $10 back with Facebook ads. Nate sounds like he might know what he's doing. So it's more often the case that you are getting that ROI when you're spending a little bit. And there's plenty of people that know how to do that, and it makes total sense. So that's why Facebook has all this money, because people wouldn't be spending the money on Facebook ads if they didn't work. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't. Right. It's been long enough now. It's been 3-4 years that it would have shown itself by now. Yep. And it works. And Christian, I know you know that for sure.
Absolutely.
It works. As of right now, it still works. So that's why they still make money.
So with
tools.
That,
all right. Tools.
Yes. With that, we're going to jump into some tools because we've covered a ton of topics today. But just have 3 quick tools for everybody. Tool number 1. By the way, Nate, thanks so much for joining. And we have these every week, so we'd love to have you join next Friday as well. So tools for the week.
Thanks, man. Best blab of the week.
Yeah, that's actually really awesome.
That's high compliments.
Tool number 1. I saw this person on here earlier. I think he actually might be here. Let me see. James Broad. Yes. So we're going to actually mention his tool, and his tool is called.
Oh, really?
PicPlane. And
that must have been because I tagged him on the tweet.
This is actually, so this is that, yeah, that probably was what it was actually. So this is actually a pretty neat tool. And if I don't get this right, James, just let me know. Feel free to jump in. But basically, what PicPlane is, it's a tool to let you use customer public Instagram photos on your site. And, and this is, I think so the key takeaway is when you are going to use, for instance, you want to get somebody who is, a customer of yours and you want to use their photo. Like a lot of times, what do people do? They go to Instagram, they, in this case, Instagram, they look up who's talking about their brand or mentioning them. They see their photo and then they basically just rip it off and use it. And so what this tool will do is it basically gives you a place to be able to go in and see approved images. And these are images that you can then tie into your website or whatnot without really having any issues of if you're using somebody's image without their permission.
Anyone that manages a brand in here that has an Instagram account, you probably want to check this one out because this, yeah. And if who is it? Is it James?
Yeah, it's James Broad actually. Yeah, and here's the thing, I was actually chatting with him. It was actually going to be the tool a couple weeks ago, but we pulled it back because I think they were actually going to be getting some videos and whatnot together. So I don't know if those are actually up yet. I haven't seen them yet, but he was telling me, awesome. Hey, we've got some stuff that we're going to be launching. So let me see if I can.
That's James right there. He said you've nailed the description. Good. Glad we're on point.
Thank
but
you so much.
I mean, if you manage a brand and you have an Instagram account, this would be really, really big because it's, and I haven't used it, but just looking at, having reviewed it from what we talked about earlier, what you sent me earlier, I should say, it's like the built-in approval. That's ridiculously huge. That's a hugely, now for my brand, I manage a type of brand where the people that post on Instagram that represent our company don't care. Like, they're happy if we use something they post, and they also they already have, in a way, agreed. They've signed a contract, an agreement that says we can use their stuff for marketing purposes.
Right.
But that's not common. That's not common for most, because you're talking more about like customers. Customers that say of General Mills, can use this, and people that post about their cereal, they can take their Instagram picture, their post, and use it, and the permission is already granted, built in. So that's really cool.
And James, so while we've got you here, I don't know if you want to pop in for a second, but I did want to ask, do you happen to have any videos or anything that you can link to or whatnot that people can go and watch and learn more about your tool? And if not, not a big deal, but we want to make sure we highlight that.
All I know is they have a Medium account, so that's I'm in just based off that. All right.
I'm actually, and I'm
the fact that they recognize that it's good to use Medium to blog about stuff. Cool. Okay. The fact that they have a Medium account that they post post on with different things is cool. And then they have an Instagram account. Makes sense.
Okay.
And then I applied for an invite. Have you used it at all, Christian?
I've not had a chance to use it. They were still working out a few things on it. So,
okay.
Again, if you look through the Twitter stream, I mean, they got a lot going on, but I have to say, I mean, it looks like it could be a very useful tool. As you mentioned, for if you're a major brand or whatnot, I mean, I think it's very useful for that. If you're in your line of work, for instance, Vincent, with any network marketing, that kind of thing, I know you'll have your guidelines, but if I'm a major brand, I don't want to just take somebody's photos and say, hey, we're going to use this in our marketing because one of our customers took a picture. I mean, do the right thing, ask them for it. In this case, the tool takes all the guesswork out of it. So that's.
But in all reality, it's not even just major brands. Honestly, like if I'm a restaurant, let's say,
restaurant,
a little
mom
and pop restaurant, $40 a month, I'm in. Like, let me do that, and then I don't have to worry about. I can share whatever I need to from my customers posting my food on Instagram, for $40 a month.
That's awesome.
Which is the price of You
don't have to go get approvals. I mean, like that's probably the biggest thing right there. Like, you can't plan your marketing around, for example, if you find something you want to use and you want to go reach out to somebody, right? What's going to happen? You find this on a Monday, you reach out to the person and they don't respond for a day or two. You basically are putting your business on hold until you get access to that or get approval. And then if they say, hey, no, I don't want you to use it, you got to go back to the drawing board. So this makes a whole lot of sense. Really, really, really awesome idea. So we will, and
we're not, I'm not paid by PicPlane or anything in any way. Christian shared this for the Blab, and I was checking it out, and it looks like a really great idea.
So with that, James, whenever he gets that, he's going to send us a link, and we'll be sure to put it together with the blog post wrap up and whatnot. By the way, James, I will make sure to also mention you tomorrow when the blog post goes out. So if you want to share that, feel free to. Thank you so much. And thanks again for joining us, by the way. So tool number 2.
Yeah, thanks for being
this is actually a desktop app for Facebook. It's called Current. And here's the thing, like I'm not just trying to give you like social media tools. I'm trying to give you tools that can also help you be more productive as well. And this is actually a neat tool. It's a so this is a Facebook tool. And so instead of actually going, keeping a browser open because we have too many tabs open, obviously, or keeping my phone handy or whatnot, I can launch Current for Facebook. I can, have conversations with people directly from my desktop without having to, get distracted or potentially get distracted from, the news feed and whatever else is being posted. So I wanted to share that with everybody because, I think that, in this day and age, like, and I find myself doing this, I go onto Facebook and I'm like, well, I'm going to do this one task, right? Go onto Facebook. And then what happens? We get sucked into something. Vincent happens to, ping me on Messenger or something, and all of a sudden I am now forgetting what it is that I need to go do or what I intended to go do. And so therefore, you get sidetracked, and then you basically at some point, then, your whole day kind of just, it's just, it's you're not exactly getting the things done you want to get done. So that is the second tool I want to share with everybody. Cool. I like sharing tools and whatnot, things that are going to help you, but it's not going to be for everybody. But if you're a Facebook user, that way you can at least kind of keep some of that stuff under control.
And then we got one more.
I got one more tool, and this one actually I mentioned this one last week, and this one is probably one of my absolute favorite apps. I mentioned it last week because it actually ties into the one from last week. It's called Drafts, and this is it's a text editor. I will say that, and you're probably thinking, well, hey, it's a text editor. That's kind of boring, right? Well, so what this tool does is it is a text editor that you can use to quickly type up notes. You can write them in what's called Markdown, which basically is where, like, if you want to write a blog post, if you wanted to create a title, it would be a £sign and then a space. That basically would be your H1 tag. If you want to, type out sections, it would put, 2 signs, and then that would indicate, an H2 tag. You can do bolding, all your styling and whatnot of your text. Now, what's really convenient though is that it ties into a lot of other applications. So, for example, let's say I'm at a conference and I want to take some notes. I don't have to open Evernote. I don't have to open my notes app. I can literally open this app, type something up, and it has these list of actions. So when I'm done typing something out, all I have to do is say, tweet this, and it will tweet it automatically out. I can also tie it into Facebook. I can tie it into Google+, many other social networks. I can write blog posts. I can write parts of a blog post. So for example, I can write, if I got a couple of minutes, I can write, a couple of paragraphs. I can send that to my writing application or my, my WordPress platform, my Evernote, whatever. I can then open that note again and append additional text to that note. So it is, super convenient. It even works for email and whatnot as well. So I can't recommend that app enough. I mean, it's, I think it's like it's $10. Sorry, $10. But I have to say it is one of my absolute favorite tools because it's just, it makes things so much easier to do. Whether I'm typing a text message, an email, sending out a tweet and so forth. So I can't recommend that enough. It's a very good app. Well worth the $10.
Cool.
So with that, by the way, I think we are at the end of today's show, and I realized we went over a lot actually in about an hour. So
nice.
With that, I want to thank everybody for joining, and I want to just give you a couple of parting thoughts here. So next week's Blab, if you want to subscribe to that, here's a link to that. This particular Blab will be available tomorrow as a blog post, and I'm going to actually give you all the link ahead of time. The off chance that you want to either read about what we talked about, you want to check out some of the tools like PicPlane or or Drafts or Current for Facebook, some of the topics we talked about, or watch the video. And then the last thing I wanted to mention to everybody is if you do want to get on our email list, I do this every week, but basically you can social chatter to 33444. That's going to put you on our email list, and therefore, a couple hours before the show, I send out links to all of the topics we're going to talk about. I even gave you a recap to last week's post so that we have everything conveniently there for you. So with that, I want to say, thanks a lot for joining us. It's it's a pleasure to be able to help you all out. Absolutely loved all the dialogue from everybody, from Nate, from Claire, from who else do we have on, from James, from who else, obviously Vincent, from Brad, every single person that's been on here. Thanks so much. Vincent,
for everyone else, throw that Blabaholics. That link is there. We have currently probably still the largest blab group of blabbers on Facebook. It's at about 1,100 people right now, and I set it up maybe about 5-6 months ago. But that's not the cool part. The cool part is that it's very engaging. A lot of the folks from Blab are in there, from Blab HQ, and a lot of the leaders within the Blab community are also in there and interacting on a regular basis. So go check it out. I post daily in there to have a spot for you to leave your links and that sort of a thing. But I really want it to be more about the discussion about the platform too. So definitely everyone's welcome to go and hop in the group, and I'll approve you.
So with that, everybody, let's see. James, I will. That actually sounds good. Yeah. So with that, I want to thank everybody, and we hope to see you next week. And feel free to bring your friends as well.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Even.